Well, anyway, just so you know, people are now filtering in. We'll give it a couple minutes to let people settle in. In the meantime, though, guys, for those who are joining, let us know where you're from, where you're tuning in from, what you're drinking. And for everyone that's watching on Cointelegraph right now, if you want to join the conversation live, feel free to head over to Blockchain and Booze, and you can get the link over there. But in the meantime, guys, cheers. Thank you for being here. Happy New Year. This is the first Blockchain and Booze of the new year. Rice has an entire Kirkland box. He's killing it. Here we go.
Wow.
Respect.
Good.
Classy.
Respect.
This shit is so good. I mean, that's not true. Obviously, that's a lie. But, you know, because this is crypto, I feel
that's
we should show something, right?
Wow. Can you refill it? Is there like a spout on the top to add more?
No, just buy another one.
Just get just another box.
It's like, you can't refill one of these things. They're recyclable though, so that's
right. You got to slap the bag next time you drink.
Slap the bag.
Yeah, it's a college thing. Every time the sorority girls, they buy boxed wine, they take it out of the box and they start slapping the bag as they chug it down.
It is
amazing.
Sorry, it's just a really long time since I knew any sorority girls. I'm actually quite proud to say that.
Wow,
that's probably a really good thing.
Oh, that's
Nico, whiskey from the barrel. Somebody's got some taste.
Dude, whiskey from the barrel.
Oh yeah. I'm drinking some Johnny Walker in honor of, I have some friends. Well, it's not a day that goes by right now that someone's asking me, hey dude, should I get into crypto? And I helped some close friends just understand the space, and one of them sent me a bottle of Johnny Walker. So I am grateful. So I thought I'd drink that tonight.
Cheers.
Cheers to you too.
Cheers.
And here's the best part. There's a little doggy on the glass, and it says, "It's not drinking alone if the dog's home."
That's cute. There you go. Yeah. That will make you feel less depressed when you're drinking.
It doesn't work.
No.
This is going to be the longest live stream ever.
I know. We have one more minute. We'll let you
go.
We have one more minute. But yeah, get comfortable, drink some more. I feel like we should do like a group shot, you know, while Jon Rice slaps the bag. And
if I take it out of this thing, it will never go back in again. Maybe I should do that. So you just
literally just slap.
Wow.
Here we go. Yes. Go. Teddy wants you to slap the bag.
He's to open the box.
I've done the keg.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever, you know, but I've never tried this. So.
He's doing it. Yes.
Oh wow.
How are you? I can't
bag, John.
Is that from a hospital? It's from a hospital. Why is he stealing?
That's an
IV.
Cheers.
I gotta slap my glass.
Slap the glass. All right, I think that's the perfect segue to getting started with the disclaimer, right?
Wow.
That no one can repeat anything that's happening on Blockchain and Booze ever. So here we go. Let's get started. This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper Goren Holm or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever. And you can catch this recording live right now on Cointelegraph's Twitter. And if you are joining live, welcome to your very first Blockchain and Booze, if it is. If not, welcome back. Also, media partner Blockchain Radio. You can catch the recording on there afterwards and on Draper Goren Holm's YouTube channel. And today's topic is all about the role of media. And we have Jon Rice with us, the editor-in-chief at Cointelegraph, and John Farjo, chief product officer and co-founder of LunarCRUSH. Guys, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. for having us.
And for everyone that just joined, let's just recap again. What are we drinking? Farjo, go.
Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker and Rice. Go for it.
Kirkland Pinot Grigio.
Nice. I love it.
2019.
That's so terrible. You're literally torturing yourself.
I keep thinking IV bag every time I see it. It's
Yeah.
That's why they hide it in a cardboard box. That's why you're not supposed to take it out. It does. It's the colostomy fornia. This is from apparently. So
You're torturing yourself. It's not okay. But I approve this for tonight. We'll make it happen. Anyway, just to get things started, I always like doing a quick intro and kind of learning about how you guys got into the space, what you're doing right now, and like why you're here. So we can start with Rice, and then we can go to Farjo.
So my name is Jon Rice. I'm the editor-in-chief at Cointelegraph, which is the largest crypto media company in the world. We do news and stuff like that. You've probably seen us around. I got into crypto. I hate saying 2017 because as soon as you say 2017, everyone thinks you're a chancer. But it was kind of mid 2017, and as soon as I read an essay by a guy called Ben Yu, I decided I gotta do this. And with my co-founder Han Kao, within a month we had launched Crypto Briefing, which to this day is still a very reputable and splendid publication that I urge you to go check out at some point if you haven't before. And that's not just because I have a small equity stake in it, he said, bullshitting everybody already. No, it's terrific. They've done a fantastic job, and I'm excited that they're still going and doing important work in the crypto space. And now at Cointelegraph, just larger audience, more people, more impact. Very exciting.
Farjo, take the stage.
So I'm gonna go way back, and I'm gonna say that I got into crypto when I was about 6 or 7 years old, when I first started trading baseball cards, and it had the same mechanics that I still feel today, the same thing. And I'd say that kind of brought me into 2013 when I first discovered Bitcoin, started reading Satoshi's white paper. All of this came from, I was working at a big ad agency, running the UX team. And I was like, what is this Bitcoin thing? This is, what is this? What is it for hackers and drugs? What's going on? Started learning more and more. Even created an account on Mt. Gox's website. That was fun on that exchange. And really ever since, hooked. And I'd say started discovering Ethereum and Monero and Litecoin way back in the day, all through social media, and started realizing there's something here. Can we collect more than just what's in my feed? And then that thought led to myself and 3 other co-founders, Joe, Isaac, and Dan, to experiment and try to collect social data for our own investing purposes. Can we understand what's going on with the market versus just our feed? And I guess from there, long story short, LunarCRUSH was born, and there's a whole bunch of stuff since then.
Awesome. So, John, you're obviously an OG, and you've been on the show before. Jon Rice, this is your first time on the show, and like I'm guilty. Also joined late 2017, and I guess I don't know if you have that level of respect if you didn't join in like 2012, 2013, but we're here, we're ready to go. And I guess my first question to you guys is, let's just dive right into the title itself, right? The role of media in crypto and blockchain, okay? Do you guys feel like it still somewhat feels like a secret society? John, you kept mentioning, or I'll say Farjo because there's 2 Johns. You kept mentioning people are now like continuously hitting you up about crypto, trying to learn more about it. Rice, obviously you managing and leading one of the largest or the largest crypto media outlets. You're consistently exposed, so you might be a little bit biased, but do you think that crypto still feels like a secret society to an extent?
Yeah.
You go.
Well, I'd say when we say secret society, I'd say, there's certain people that are very deep into the space, and you can go to any conference, any of them. They're kind of knowing who their audience is, and they're throwing out complex things. We're talking about yield farming and NFTs and DeFi and fungibility and all these things. And, when I see the people coming into the market today, they're asking, hey, bro, dude, can I make a few bucks? What should I buy? They're not even asking, when should I sell? And I'm like, like you got to get educated. You got to go through the ropes. Like you got to understand how this all works. You're probably going to lose before you even make money. It takes time. And I think, you know, there's a relevance to people that have been in the space for a long time because we're geeks, right? We're into the tech. We're into all this exciting stuff, and it's probably the fastest paced environment in any industry. When you look at that, that's completely different than the people that I actually talk to that are out in the real world that are like, why do I need an account on an exchange? What is it? What is KYC? What can you tell me what that means? Is someone stealing my information? Like it's basic. And I think we're at this really interesting time. Like even yesterday, like we measured it like with Ethereum, for example, all time highest social activity we have ever seen yesterday. And so that's all new people. That's not the same people talking. So we've got a whole bunch of people that are entering the space. They don't know why they need an account on an exchange, and we're talking about yield farming. And so I think there's different audiences now, and that's really, really important to consider. We see it with our own, whether it be DMs or feedback on our own posts or whatever it may be. We see that variance of really advanced users that are actually like trading real time on social data. And then we got other people going, why do I care about the social volume of Bitcoin? Why does that matter? And so we're getting these big variances. And I think the beginners, we're seeing a lot more beginners right now than I think we ever have. And I think that's really important. I would encourage anyone listening to start doing a conference for people that are just getting in like now, and we can grow the space, because I think that's perhaps missing. It's missing from a lot of things.
Rice, I'd kind of like to hear your point of view, because I see you nodding, I see you agreeing. Well, what are your thoughts?
What was the question again?
So why does crypto still feel like a secret society, right? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, it does, because unless you're in crypto, what reason do you have to be reading about crypto? You know, if you don't have an investment, or you don't have some kind of friend who's started a company, or somebody who's deeply invested in the idea of decentralization, or who's an extreme libertarian who doesn't believe in taxation, then why are you even here? So we kind of rely on the media to take what we do and what we say and what we're all about out to the wider world. And, we have some internal facing media. We have, trade journals like Cointelegraph and its competitors. And then we have, Bloomberg, Forbes, that are now starting crypto desks, and they're beginning to actually take that message out and kind of spread it in the wider world. But with all that said, the wider world has a lot of news to digest. And I think we do get the impression sometimes within crypto that everything we do is so meaningful and important and relevant to society that, the mainstream media should be covering it more. But at the end of the day, there's 15, 20, 30 people, heavily involved in crypto in terms of their investing or something to do with their work. And there's 7.5 billion people on this planet. And the rest of those people just haven't heard about it yet. And until there's kind of, until that gradually, then suddenly phenomenon really takes place, I think we're still going to see that 99% of people simply have no clue what we're all about.
So actually then that's a good point to carry on from. How do you get to that point? How do you get to the point where you tap into the other 99% of people to get them more exposed, to get them more caring about crypto, beyond just hearing about crypto in terms of Bitcoin and Bitcoin hitting an all-time high?
Mm-hmm.
Utility. You got to build utility. And I think that's actually what's happening right now. I mean, like there are so many geniuses out there building as fast as they possibly can. And I think when you look at people getting in, they're not talking about, well, what can this coin actually do? They're talking about how they can make money on this coin. They're not going to Coinbase and they're not buying Ethereum because you can build something on it. They're buying it because they think it's going to appreciate. And so I think as we kind of twist that narrative into like these things, like these blockchains become the internet, they become the backbone to banking around the world. They become the backbone to the different things that we're doing, interplanetary even at some point. That's utility. And I think, we have a show every week that we do, and all we do is talk to these different projects about utility. We're just blown away. They're building like crazy. And I think it's just like, it's like kind of just maturity level. Like we've been at a very early age and we're kind of graduating to maybe age 3 or 4 right now. We're still early, but we were like 1 or 2 for the last 5 to 10 years here. And it's, you know, it's exciting, but I think that's how you have to actually build things that people will use.
And I guess, John, from your perspective, like you guys at Cointelegraph try to dumb down stuff as much as possible. And I think the biggest indicator of that is you guys approach this news from a very user-friendly perspective. Look at the thumbnails, look at all the graphics that you guys create, right? How has that kind of played into the adoption of crypto from Cointelegraph? Like, could you guys measure that? Like, are you guys seeing consistent, like new users, new people visiting the site, new types of activity happening around Cointelegraph and the stuff that you guys are producing?
Yeah, I'm going to take issue with the phrase "you guys dumb it down as much as possible," which is I like to think maybe keep it simple, but yeah, I mean, right now I'm looking over at this screen over here because I've got a program up which tells me exactly how many people we have on the site right now, and it's telling me that we have 518 new visitors, i.e. people who have not visited Cointelegraph in the last 30 days. We have 833 people reading right now who are returning from sometime in the last couple of weeks, and 437 loyal. Whoever you are, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And then we've got a whole bunch of 1,000+ unclassified users, so we can't track absolutely everybody with absolutely everything. But that's kind of that tells a story in and of itself.
Yes.
New users every single day. People who've never visited Cointelegraph are coming here every single day to learn something. So what does that tell me? Well, it tells me that, yeah, sure, we may be a trade publication, but I can also see on here how many people are searching versus how many people are being directed via social media accounts. And those social media accounts are only accounting for about 15 to 18% of our traffic right this minute, for example, whereas people searching for something about cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, are finding Cointelegraph through those searches. That's the exciting part for me. The fact that people are out there looking for the information and wanting to be educated about what Cointelegraph does and what cryptocurrency is all about. So we're seeing plenty of new activity. And honestly, when it tends to be price oriented, when it's all about, number go up or something, we get a lot more loyal users. We get people who are very into their investments, they're tracking them, they want to keep track of them and so on. And when we're talking more about utility, as you say, John, and I kind of think of it as relieving a pain point, when we talk about that, we get new visitors. And those are the people, like you say, who are going to hopefully stick around to find out something useful about crypto.
Sure.
And Farjo, so we're looking at 2017, one of the craziest bull runs in crypto. Now you're looking at 2020, 2021, all these institutional investors, accredited investors, people with deep pockets, smart money, essentially getting into crypto. How has that, are you seeing a shift in social activity, right? Not so much maybe from the spike, but the stuff that people are talking about, how people are engaging with all these different tickers and whatnot. How has the data kind of evolved over the last 3 years or so?
Well, I mean, the narrative, if I go back to 2016, 2017, it was a lot more, how do I put it? It was a lot more about day trading. It was a lack of conviction. It was just like people making money. And now it's almost like, the narrative is more like long-term, stack your sats. There's keep it going. You're going to die with Bitcoin. I actually say that to people. I'm like, stop thinking you're day trading, stop swinging it, because you know what? If you would have bought Bitcoin at any time in history, you're in the money right now. You're in the green. Doesn't matter when, if you bought at the old top, you just made a lot of money. So if you have that perspective, and if you think about riding this for a long period of time versus trying to time the market and not investing, I mean, literally hours a day on every coin that you own, you're in the wrong place. Just buy Bitcoin and hold it forever and stop trading. But the narrative we see is a lot more conviction, a lot more macro. When we start to see the big things that move the market, it's much more about governments. It's about money printing. It's about things falling apart. It's about COVID. It's about whatever the government did wrong today in whatever country. And we see that really, really move Bitcoin. And that seems to be the majority of the posts around Bitcoin. Some Ethereum, but a lot less. Yeah. Ethereum seems to be much more the developer community is just massive. Like the amount of actual utility type discussions we hear about on Ethereum are huge. And I'd say the other narratives we typically hear a lot about is what are the alternatives and or things that play nicely with Ethereum and or Bitcoin. And so we start to hear a lot of that
right there, right? Because like that's happening within the Ethereum community, right? How do you bridge those conversations beyond just like a centralized or not like a hyper-focused group? Like how do you get more, like Rice, you mentioned Forbes just opened a desk recently, Bloomberg opened a desk recently, but they're still not talking about like mainstream DeFi applications, right? And all these like opportunities of adoption and new interest generating and yield generating products that are completely out-defying traditional finance and whatnot. Like how do you engage and influence and motivate more of these mainstream outlets to get into the conversation?
Well, I think there's so many barriers before that's going to happen, and that's not, you know, to be negative about crypto in the slightest. It's simply that traditional media looks at a story a particular way, and they think, okay, first off, what are the resources I have to devote to this subject in order to actually print something that's correct? And I got to tell you, I mean, we're in the media. We all know how difficult it is to keep up with what is essentially a revolution in action. You know, the evolution of crypto every day is, you know, 6 months of evolution in traditional finance, and every single day someone is coming out with a new protocol, a new way of twisting mathematics and code to make something work. And how are you supposed to keep up with that? Traditional media can't possibly keep up with that when even the kind of trade media, you know, we struggle with that every single day. We're like, well, hold on, let us just catch up with what happened yesterday. But then you've got, I mean, the fact that people, traditional media doesn't want to report too much on speculative investments. There's a lot of laws around how you can report on that. You don't want to make people angry and lose money. You don't want to get out there and spread news about somebody's scam that you can only really check on because, you know, again, if you have that kind of background in the blockchain industry. So I think the mainstream media has got a long way to go. They see the infighting, they see the toxic tribalism, they see angry billionaires yelling at each other on Twitter, and frankly, they just, like, I mean, honestly, I think they just shrug their shoulders and say, "What the fuck are you people doing? What is that? What is that thing that I'm seeing right now?" And that's still got a lot to do with, you know, what we see in crypto every day.
So then at Cointelegraph, how do you guys kind of filter through all the bullshit? Because I'm sure you guys get so many pitches, so many companies coming at you, trying to get exposure, trying to boost themselves. So how do you guys kind of filter through the nonsense and make sure to capture like very quality stuff?
I'm going to say that's the biggest challenge in crypto media. Without any doubt whatsoever, it's filtering the bad actors, filtering the noise, filtering people who have an agenda, and trying to write something that's actually factually correct. So, you know, the last story you saw picked up from crypto that went mainstream, other than Bitcoin goes big, was this story about Russell Okung, the NFL player who's taking his pay in Bitcoin. Well, no, it's not. It's bullshit. It's not true. And unfortunately, it was put out there by the crypto media, one of our competitors. And the headline, I'm going to read this to you because this really pissed me off. Panthers' Russell Okung becomes first NFL player to be paid in Bitcoin. In the text, technically speaking, Okung is still being paid in fiat. So which is it? Is he being paid in Bitcoin? No, he's not. So when that gets picked up by Sports Illustrated and by the New York Post and then, you know, kind of disseminated throughout traditional media, what then happens? When they get fact-checked, when they get angry letters from people who say, well, that's simply not true, that source becomes illegitimate. It becomes non-credible. And that's the problem that crypto media really has. If we're going to be credible, we can't have this race to the bottom, which is going on right now, where you see all these crypto media companies, oh my God, I have to be first. You know, this came out on Twitter 8 seconds ago. Let me put 2 bullet points together and publish that as a news story. Well, that's not news. That doesn't add any value to the reader. Where's the additive value of that transaction? And that, unfortunately, is what is going to kill us. So at Cointelegraph, one of the things that we're trying really hard to do these days is simply focus a little bit more on the facts. You know, get the facts right, because as Elsa says right there in the chat, being first isn't always being best. Adding value to the reader, giving them something that they can depend on, and to the point that you made earlier, how do we get this out to the wider audience? Get your facts correct, and that will help.
I think those are all really good points, because first, the media is not first, not even close. Social's first. Individuals on social are hitting this way before the news is happening. And the volume of news that we see for Bitcoin, for example, it's still relatively, when we look over 6 months, it's still relatively flat. The media is so preoccupied with COVID and politics, they're forgetting to report about Bitcoin. Either that or the shelf space at mass media is not there. So when you look at it, like I'll take yesterday, for example, just to give a current example. So like Jeremy Allaire, right? Jeremy Allaire, as far as I know, was the first to break the US Treasury, the banking regulator news, right? About blockchains, public blockchains can be used. Within an hour, saw dozens on our collection, saw dozens of articles created. The first one was many minutes after. So when we're looking at this, if you're thinking about trading, and if you're thinking about that, and that article, that post from Jeremy, let's see, I have it somewhere in here, just to give an example. At 10,000 retweets, 21,500 likes, 3.4 thousand quoted tweets. A majority of that happened within seconds and minutes.
Right.
And so when you think about people trading, like what is that going to do? And what we measure, we look at social engagement. That measured a ton of social engagement, that post yesterday. So when you see social engagement spike, what happens if someone wants to trade a certain coin? Well, they may not even have their money on a specific exchange to trade a specific coin after that. We actually see sometimes delays of an hour or two when price goes up after social engagement spikes. But a lot of those engagement spikes are not coming from news. They're coming from social. And so where we see news fitting into an incredibly important narrative is the facts, is the larger story, the angle, great, so this happened and this was a post on Twitter. What does it mean? Like, what does it actually mean for all of us? Does it mean that there's no more delays when you transfer funds to a bank? That 3-day waiting period and all that is gone? Is that what that means? Does it mean new forms of financial assets? What can we look forward to? Let's have a deeper discussion. And that's where a lot of that value is that we see in the media. But speed, I don't know how you prepare an article when something's happening in real time. Create a beautiful graphic, header image, publish it to your content management system, get all your SEO tags and all that stuff straight. Make sure your analytics are tagged. Like, that takes time. And so the speed, there's always going to be a gap between like news and where it gets like distributed on social.
So that was actually one of my main questions. Then what do you think drives the market? Is it like more conventional media, like articles, press releases, podcasts, whatever, newspapers, or social? But what you're saying, it's 100% social. And Rice, you could also agree with that.
It depends. I mean, like if you're talking about conviction, like if I want to have conviction and truly understand what just happened, it's not reading a tweet. Tweets might make you move quickly and do this kind of fast, adrenaline-driven behavior. But if I'm, say, for example, if I'm into Ethereum and I want to learn all about ETH2, yeah, I'm going to look at some social posts because I'm interested in Ethereum, but man, I want to read every news article I can. I want to read every angle I can. I want to understand this. How does staking work? Wait, like when are things actually launching? Like, I want to know, I want to read a book on it. So I need depth to have conviction to hold for a long period of time versus a day trading perspective.
Right. And Rice, I kind of want to take it again from the point where you guys try to simplify stuff, right? So give me some examples of things that Cointelegraph is doing that other media outlets, crypto media outlets aren't really doing to really allow new users, those new people visiting your site every day, to really grasp crypto and Bitcoin, blockchain, whatever, maybe Ethereum, from an angle of understanding, right? In a way where it's welcoming to kind of like, okay, you just learned what Bitcoin is, like, here's what's next. What is Cointelegraph doing over there?
I think that's a philosophical kind of question in some ways, because one of the things that I think people sometimes, when, like you said, when they read Cointelegraph, they're like, okay, this is fairly accessible, it's fairly easy to read. And one of the things that we shy away from is the $5 words. We try and get away from the whole idea that the journalist or the writer is the center of the story, and that they're trying to show off how clever they are and how deep their personal understanding of the subject is. We're a media outlet that basically reaches out across the entire globe 24/7 in multiple languages. I have actually lost count of how many different international editions we have now. But in order to be able to reach that kind of global audience, you've got to be accessible. So you get rid of the ego. You get rid of the kind of sense that, I want to go out there and my byline is the most important thing in this story. No, the reader is the most important thing in the story. If you're not giving the reader the context and perspective, as John said, on what a particular story means, then you're not doing your job. You're not serving the reader and adding value. And that's what people sometimes forget about the media. It's not there just to pay us all salaries. It's not there just so that we can all have, fancy resumes and go to conferences. It's there to add value to the understanding and the education and the knowledge of the people who read it. And if you don't do that, you're wasting your time, and you're wasting your reader's time. And I don't want to waste my reader's time.
Farjo, I see you nodding your head a lot as he's kind of preaching.
I keep thinking we talk to so many altcoin projects all the time. We have live streams every week, and we do a whole bunch of things. And I keep thinking how amazed we are when we talk to them with what they're doing and how much is going on. And then I think of just how much is not told, and how much that you can't actually trust them, because there's just a lack of information out there around. I mean, if you think about it, we've got 7,000, 8,000 coins in the market. And if you were to break down, like even on Cointelegraph, how many have been talked about in the last 3 months on Cointelegraph? Is it the top 100? Is it the top 1,000? Because there's another 6, 7, 8,000 to go.
Rice, do you know that number? Out of all the coins and the tokens, like how much do you guys actually cover and deem as valuable, as legit?
Well, it depends. I mean, the fact, what we're really trying to get across is what's newsworthy. Okay. Right. So there's obviously some subjectivity in what that means. Is it purely for investment? No, we're about more than just speculative investments. Sure, we have a great markets team. We probably have the leading markets team in the industry, I like to think. They're fast and they're accurate, and that's terrific. But we do so much more than that. We've got Andrew Thurman at the weekends, who's trying to do every kind of Sunday evening. One of the things he does is just a fun payoff story about a project that's completely novel, that's doing something completely different. And those kind of projects, there's a lot more investigative work that goes into them. You have to look at their tokenomics, look at their milestones coming up, and try and infer from that. Is somebody pushing this for a reason? Is somebody trying to get their token sale shilled? Is someone trying, what's basically the benefit? Why is this timing the way it is? And all of that kind of factors into what we decide is newsworthy and appropriate, intelligent, thoughtful commentary for our readers. What we don't want to do is, and I'll tell you some of the things I've seen. When you start seeing a project's name all of a sudden that you've never heard before, and you suddenly start seeing it on some of the Twitter influencers, and then you start seeing it in some of the some of the YouTube channels, and then all of a sudden it starts cropping up on the minor crypto publications, and it's kind of seeping into this public consciousness. You've got to know that there is a concerted and deliberate effort behind that happening. It's not just organic. There are people out there pushing for those projects to get into the public consciousness because they have a milestone coming up. And that milestone may be a token sale, or it may be some kind of a pump and dump, but we're looking for that all the time. If we start getting hit from multiple angles by multiple people that we don't really know very well, all trying to say, slip in some little piece of coverage here and there, we take very close account of that. We're very careful about trying to understand what people's motivations are when they're kind of pitching as news. Now, of course, pitching as news is, 25, 30% of our entire job. The rest of it is going out and finding the news and finding something to work with that has human interest, that's interesting to the space. If all we talked about was price, I think we'd be a very boring publication. So, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, out of curiosity, how many pitches do you estimate you guys get a day?
Gee, that's a really tough one, because most, I think, and I actually noticed a couple of my PR friends in the chat here, but most of them now know I'm way too fucking busy to pitch me. So I don't get as many pitches as editor-in-chief as I used to get when I was running Crypto Briefing or before that. These days, the editors get most of those, and I suspect they probably get between 75 and 100 every single day.
Wow. Jeez.
That's a guess. But
I'm trying to think about this filter process as to how you guys kind of scan and like, this is a go, this goes to the next stage of review. Like, how does that work once you guys get all these pitches? If you're talking about it.
I had to yell at one of my editors the other day. He said it's a slow news day. And I almost lost my shit completely. There is no such thing as a slow news day in crypto. There is always something to write about. So, you know, the filtration process is actually, you know, kind of tough. And unfortunately, and I'm absolutely certain this has happened to every editor in this sector, there are incredibly insightful, thoughtful, brilliant people.
Uh-oh.
Farjo, are you still there?
Yeah, I thought that was me.
No, I thought that was us. I think we just lost Rice for a second. But anyways, while he connects,
Fox line.
Rice, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry.
We lost you for a second.
I'm not nearly drunk enough to do this shit. You do realize that. You need to be getting down.
You got to slap the bag again.
John, there's a chat. There's a comment in the chat. Is there a cat behind you?
Oh, there's probably two. Yeah, these are two of my
oh wow.
I don't know what they're doing there. It's kind of probably a little R-rated, but
too young.
Frisky. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Frisky.
Yeah, frisky.
Wait, you were saying before you cut out, I just want to touch on that point and jump back into it. You were saying about this filtering process, right? And there's no slow day in crypto. Continue on that for a sec. No.
Oh no.
Let's give him a second. Farjo, in the meantime,
I'll chime in on that. I mean, like when we talk about slow days, I mean, when we're looking right now at like social volume, you know, if we include spam, we're pushing up to about 1 million social posts a day. And so when we look at that and we talk about weeding through it all, we have many, many ways that we built to weed through all that, because there's clutter in the news. There's exponentially more in social. And so what we look at is, you know, when we're looking for things that relate to Bitcoin, for example, any coin, we're pulling in a whole bunch of different terms, and we run that through our machine learning model that we've built out. And we understand if it's real from a human, if it's spam, what kind of sentiment does it have? And if it's spam, we weed it out, but we even collect that as an indicator, as a metric. We actually have spam activity as a metric. So we don't throw it out completely. But I'd say also on the human side, we collect influencers. So we collect influencer activity. We know who is posting every single tweet, every post on every video on YouTube, every post on Reddit, and on and on. And we actually even calculate how influential those individuals are, because that's also really important, because you also want to make sure you know who you're following on your social feeds. If you're, you might read your news article, but you're probably loading Twitter up first. You're loading up Twitter, and you may even find all these articles from Cointelegraph, from CoinDesk, et cetera, on Twitter. And when you're doing that, you want to make sure it's coming from the right people, the most credible people on the space, not people that are just shilling it just this day or this week. But what about people that have been in this coin for a whole year, that have actively been participating in increasing social activity? Who are they? And so that's how we look at things from like a social perspective. But also I'd add, just within all of those posts, we've collected something like almost 200,000 domains, not URLs, but domains, in all of the crypto related posts. And a good chunk of those, I should say a chunk of those, are news. And so we're pulling in news from, I want to say it's over 1,000 different sites right now. And Cointelegraph is one, CoinDesk is one, Crypto Briefing is one. I mean, on and on and on. And when we pull that news in, it is fascinating. Like, for every Cointelegraph that's creating original unique content, a lot of these news sites are spam. They are reposting the same article on 37 different domains. They're like bot template posts that it's not really, there's no humans involved. They're just filling in the blank, like, you know, Mad Libs basically.
So do you go as far as actually looking into the content that's being posted?
Oh yeah, we spider it like Google spiders it. Yeah, yes, we actually go through every single link. We classify them as spam, news, or if it's another type of thing, like a block explorer, we don't want to pull that in. But like when there's a link to say Cointelegraph, we are actually going through it and spidering it and looking for all of the keywords that we want to look for every single coin. And so when you look at that over time, it becomes really interesting when you see the activity grow, especially on some of the smaller projects, like when there was no news activity. And believe it or not, 90% of this market, when we talk about coins, has zero news activity. It's all in the top. Like it's so skewed towards the top. So when we talk about these like DeFi startups that are just entering the space and maybe building something amazing with a really awesome team, they're not getting the coverage. It's just not happening. We don't see it. And at least if there is coverage, no one's sharing it.
So hold on.
Yep.
John's having an issue. Rice is having an issue coming back. Jon Rice, if you can hear us, do a quick hard refresh and try to come back in. But Farjo, I wanted to ask you, so how do you guys kind of determine credibility on social, particularly Twitter, Reddit? Is it based off like what the amount of followers that someone has? Is it based off like consistency and what they talk about? Like, how do you guys kind of look at that more in depth?
Well, it's objective. It's not like we like this person more than that person, or that we like this coin more than that coin. There's no humans involved. We look at really 4 kind of dimensions. The first is engagement. So when people post something, are there crickets? Is there nothing going on? Is there no one retweeting? Is there no one commenting? Is it on Reddit and there's no upvotes or comments or anything like that? So we look at all of that. Then we look at the activity. So how many times is this individual posting? Are they really like a big person with 100,000 followers and they happen to post about Litecoin just one time and then they're out? Or are they actually constantly, is there frequency that's going on? So that's the second dimension. And then we look at their following. Do they have 0 followers? Have they posted a lot of spam before? And so we look at all of that, and then we look at it across time. So I might be influential today because I'm posting a lot about a coin, but I might not be on 1 week or 1 month or 3 months or a year. And so if I'm going to be influential over time, I'm going to be consistently posting about something. And this goes back to my point of, if you want to follow the right people, you got to look at how consistent they are, and have they been with this project a long time, or are they a paid influencer over this week? And I'll tell you what's crazy is to see some of the activity that we see. You can almost tell that there's an influencer campaign. You can tell that there's an influencer campaign when their social activity is higher than Bitcoin's. It's not happening. There's no way that this altcoin has more social volume than Bitcoin. Right. And then next week it's gone. Right. So you can tell, and that's a red flag. Do you
have any of that data on hand to kind of show, or interest data to pull up?
Well, I don't want to get in trouble. So this one coin that's in my head, I will get in trouble if I bring it out there. So I'm not going to do it. But we do have a lot of data, and I'd say we look for consistent growth and breakouts in that growth. I mean, I'd be happy to pull up, like, say, Ethereum, for example.
Yeah, pull it up.
And just show you what we saw. We're seeing right now. Give me 1 minute. If I can find, there it is.
In the meantime, I'm going to message the Cointelegraph team.
So when you look at social volume in Ethereum, I mean, this is the last year, and we can see is he back on?
Yeah, I don't see him still. There he is.
I'm supposed to be back in.
You're live.
Hey, sorry guys. I've got a big storm coming. I'm on mobile hotspot now, so hopefully it's useful.
We see you. We hear you just fine. We see you. All is good. But Farjo, you were saying?
Well, so when we look at Ethereum social volume, and this is the number of mentions, and this is people using the ticker ETH, hashtag Ethereum, any variation of those. When we see that over time, the last year here, we're actually we're breaking out big time. So that this means that there's more people talking about it. And when we talk about the individuals, so this is the individual number of users versus like one person posting many times. This is the number of individual people. This excludes spam. So any spammers are excluded from this as well. But we see that we just had a big breakout. And this is over the last year. And we're about to enable more timeframes, longer timeframes in the next week here. But that's the highest that we've ever measured it. So that's a pretty big deal. So I think when you look at the community size itself growing, it's never been bigger than it is right now. If I showed you, like, say, Chainlink as another example, got it in here. There you go. So Chainlink, which still has barely budged, one might say that this is a really bullish opportunity. I mean, huge growth over the last year. And we even have, it's interesting, we have more people posting less right now about Chainlink. So there's a lot of newer people coming into this market right here. And the engagement was even super hyped up when the price was going crazy here. And we've kind of chilled out. But the community itself, the size has never been bigger, just like Ethereum. Right. So pretty exciting time.
So Rice, so obviously Farjo has all these crazy social metrics, right? When it comes for its users to kind of understand the activity behind certain tickers, right? Would you say social activity is like one thing the Cointelegraph team looks at before they report on something, before they create an article, a press release, whatever it may be? Like, what are some things you guys look at to kind of draft the content that you push out?
Well, certainly the marketing team is going to look at social data and sentiment, because we're still. I mean, John made a very good point earlier on. The social media stuff drives immediate impact on price. There are people who are sitting there at home with 8 monitors on all day, every day, and one of those monitors, or 2 or even 3, are devoted entirely to Twitter. They're looking for the edge investment. How do I get the news faster than anybody else on the And what they kind of forget is that there's everything is handed down from one place to another, right? So even if you're on Twitter, even if you're following absolutely everybody you should be following from an investment standpoint, you're still going to be 3 rungs down the ladder from the person who started that movement. But at least you're going to be 3 rungs up from the person who didn't see it at all. So I think what it really is, I mean, I think there's been quite a lot of talk about this Cantillon effect or Cantillon effect, the idea that the closer to the news, the closer to the money you are, the more of you get to capture, and that's been a subject of some discussion in the Bitcoin community over the last couple of years, and it's one of the reasons I think why the kind of crowdfunding and the people who are excited about tokens, and they're excited about tokenization as a financial asset and a financial mechanism, is because it gets them closer to the source of the news, if you like, the source of the money. And that's something that in the US was only open to accredited investors with over $1 million in assets, excluding the value of their home and stuff, until very recently. So I think this all kind of goes towards the idea of democratization, right? And social media is the democratization of information, and a lot of the cryptocurrency tokens are the democratization of finance. And you put the two together, and suddenly you've got people who had no chance whatsoever of ever getting into a Wall Street firm and being that close to the source of the information and the source of the money, and they can be that close to both of those things. And that's one of the reasons why I think social media is powerful in this industry. And it's certainly one of the reasons we use it in our assessment and analysis when we're doing market stories. But it's not the end of the story. You have to remember that for all of those tweets, there is no fact checking. There is no sense of context, perspective, background, and you don't know where the news is coming from, or again, who benefits from it. And that's where I think the media adds a lot of value, because we're trying to help our readers contextualize the information and not just have access to a headline.
Right. Now, selfish question here, because I really want this. does Cointelegraph have any plans of like doing a 24/7 type of video reporting like you have on CNN or like you have on ESPN or whatnot? Is that like in the pipeline at all?
No.
No.
I mean, the cost involved with doing that properly is spectacular. I mean, it's an expensive and difficult. I mean, can you imagine reporting on crypto 24/7, having to sit here and talk about it? And
I'd love it.
I mean, my God.
If I could just turn on the TV and I'd see like Galaxy Digital, or I saw Chainlink, or I saw LunarCRUSH or Cointelegraph, or all these like these really popular projects, right? Consistently talking about the market like they do CNN with politics or Fox with politics or ESPN with sports. Like that'd be a dream come true. Are you kidding me? No one's doing that right now.
Well, but I think there's people, actually, there's one of these people in the chat right now.
Oh,
Also, has kind of, you know, contacted me a couple of times and told me that she's very excited at some point to be covering crypto on TV. And I think that's fantastic. I mean, I'd love to see a TV channel where, you know, professional reporters who've kind of, you know, had spent their entire careers in journalism, and Elsa herself was an anchor in Los Angeles. When I see those folks like trying to take this to a much wider audience with the kind of advertising-based model where you know, you're looking at, I mean, not crypto companies advertising, but Nike, or people who have demographic affinity groups within the crypto industry. Those are really ambitious targets.
Right.
Right now, Cointelegraph, we're not looking at that. We have a niche. We know exactly what we're about. We're about getting strong, contextualized news to our readers. But I think that there's more of that coming. There's undoubtedly, I mean, if you can have a Bloomberg TV, you can have a crypto TV, right?
There you go.
I think the perspective of TV, you know, like if I told you right now, a big thing for us is personalization moving forward. So we want to give you personally what you want, not a generic buy sell ranking or any of that stuff. We want to give Adam what he wants based upon Adam's behavior. Whether we serve that to you through a flat website or a linear 24/7 365 video that never turns off, that sometimes maybe has live content, that's kind of our version of what we're thinking TV is. You know, like if you think of, like, for example, right now, when you watch TV, when you watch the news, it's kind of cheesy and weird when they throw a tweet up on the screen. They're reporting about something that happened an hour and a half ago, and they throw this fancy graphic up, and it's like, wait, that's old.
Yeah.
So it's already too slow. Our version of TV, it isn't really working. I mean, if there's a chart thrown up on CNBC, it's because something already happened. And it's not because something might happen, or it's someone's own self-interest, and analysts coming on saying you should buy stock in Coca-Cola because it's great.
Right.
It hasn't moved yet. They have a vested interest in it. We're saying, like, this is all about like bringing that data and insight to you real time right now, just you, not one generic TV channel that you might be used to watching.
Yeah. And with that, I kind of want to leave room for some QA because we have a ton of interesting questions here. Obviously being respective of your time. But just to start with a fun one for both of you, is the Galactic Federation priced in? How do we feel?
No, because we haven't even colonized Mars yet. We have to figure out how to get Blockstream to get the satellites to communicate interplanetary blockchains.
Right.
This is a legitimate question.
Is this a Wars or Trek question? I mean, are we going to start taking sides here? Because I think you had me for a Dagobah slinger or something. So, I mean, I'm a Wars guy, but I'm also very much a Trek guy. So yeah, the Federation. But the funny thing is, if the Federation was priced in, it wouldn't matter because they have no money in Star Trek. They have no need for money.
Cool. Perfect. Okay. This one comes from Taylor Kendall. Okay. Mis/disinfo might be the biggest problem of our time. Can't DLT, distributed ledger technology, help solve that problem? For example, projects like Civil. Shouldn't crypto media eat their own dog food? What do you guys think about that?
Okay, so one of the the promises of distributed ledger technology is truth, right? The idea is that we can arrive at some kind of shared truth because there is a record of everything that happened and so on and so forth. But people seem to think that, I get the impression that a lot of people feel that you can put truth into any context and it means the same thing. And while truth in history, as in this transaction happened, that thing was said, that unfortunately is not the same as this is a reliable source, this is a non-reliable source. And I'm not just talking about the media, I'm talking about the person who brings something to the attention of the media, the person who calls in a tip, the person who, you have to go back and again and examine their motivations, right? And you can't really verify that with blockchain. So the source of the truth is really the thing here that is the problem. And if you can't verify that with blockchain, yeah, sure, you can verify that something was reported about that or that it was corrected about that. But the very model of kind of discovering what objective truth is through blockchain, I think, is flawed. I think it's a big stretch. I don't see that as the role of blockchain technology. I think it's to preserve the record of what was created by the media, not necessarily how the media source their stories.
Cool. I think this is more of an AI or machine learning question, not a blockchain question.
Yeah,
like if fair. I'll pick on what we do. We use machine learning to identify spammers, and we also use machine learning to identify sentiment. And on top of that, we can tell you in real time which, for example, news article is shared the most across a legitimate crowd of non-spammers. So like if Adam's just going on shilling one day, one coin after another, he's got 150 coins he's shilling, just out random, he's a spammer. But if Adam is constantly posting about Litecoin, constantly day in, day out, he gets lots of engagement, and Adam's sharing a Cointelegraph link and lots of other influencers that are also respected over time, that matters. That matters, and that's one sense. I don't know if I'd call it like bulletproof, but I'd call it's a step in the right direction of identifying what's real versus not.
But again, you're kind of getting into that situation where you have, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the Black Mirror episode where, the woman's social standing is kind of, projected above her head. And the idea of reputation management, whereby if it became universal, your score becomes more than the sum of your parts. It's just a score at the end of the day. So how do we know that somebody doesn't game that system and that there are unintended consequences? So they feed you good information for 6 months, and then suddenly, when it really counts, they click their fingers and they feed you bad information. There's again, I think you're right. Maybe that is an AI question rather than a blockchain question, but that model's also been tried. I've yet to see anybody suggest a way in which blockchain can truly improve journalism.
Cool. Last but not least, any comments on recent news of the OCC stablecoins? Everyone knows that one came from David Rankin. Excuse me, David.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the biggest news we've experienced in a while.
Yeah, very proud to have broken it. The good news.
I heard it first on Cointelegraph, so there you go.
No, that is immense news. I think that one of the big trends that we expect to see, I think, in 2021 is more of a meeting between CeFi and DeFi. We want to see if this community and this movement that we're all part of can really integrate with the wider world. Can we stop being this insular little kind of blip on the radar that's gotten a little bit bigger as time has gone on, enough that Jamie Dimon doesn't now go around calling us a fraud, and Warren Buffett hasn't called us rat poison squared in a while. But are we real? Is this community really going to do something? Because if it does, it's not going to do it in isolation. It's going to do it by integrating with the real world, and centralized finance, centralized government, centralized entities, centralized technologies. All of those are part of the real world. So we might as well get used to the fact that if we're going to get wider adoption and we're going to bring more people into this industry, it's not by being absolutists. It's not by being crypto maximalists. It's by being welcoming to other people and other ideas and basically fixing the pain point, right? DeFi right now doesn't fix a pain point. It's more complex, more confusing, more hack-proof than centralized finance. But at some point, it won't be. And that will only happen when we integrate correctly with, I'm going to say correctly, I'm not just talking about a philosophical thing here, I'm talking about pragmatism. When we integrate with the rest of the world and we become part of that and not aside from that, that's when crypto really takes off.
Love it. Yeah, I think I remember I was on here with Bill from Abra, and we were asked at the end of it to make a prediction. And I said, I predict that the front door for crypto, you know how we're all used to it being Bitcoin, and then everyone says, and then you go down the rabbit hole and get into all these other coins. I predict the front door is going to be DeFi, but not until it becomes that warm and fuzzy, secure, FDIC insured type feeling. It can't be, oh shoot, I lost my keys. It can't be the smart contract had a hole in it and got hacked. Like that can't happen. And so when we think about this, it's potentially a humongous opportunity for DeFi. Because if you think about, go to any bank website right now, look at the rates for a CD, right? We joke about this, where it's like 0.03% or 0.003 or something at Wells Fargo for $1 million balance on a CD. That's like insane. So I would wonder, how does this fly into that and get us better rates? How does this speed up the banking system? How does this, if you can have a bond that has payouts that are also in stable coins, like what are the kinds of things that are going to end up getting built on top of this? Like what are the different utilities that end up happening? Because this is an entrance into the masses versus them having to get into Bitcoin. That being said, maybe your bank account also has a Bitcoin button that you can buy, and you can store your Litecoin in there too. And who knows? So I think this opens the door for a lot of things that people haven't even dreamed up yet. And I think that's probably the most exciting thing.
It's awesome. And I think that's a perfect place to end off. Guys, you killed it. Thank you so much for your time. Before I let you guys leave, give us a quick shout out where we can find you individually. We can start with Farjo and then go to Rice.
Start following us at LunarCRUSH on Twitter. Let's start there. We post some awesome insights all the time. And go check out LunarCRUSH.com. It's free. We give a free coin of the day without even having an account. And then you sign up and it's still free. And that gives you real-time social insights on thousands of coins. We pull in data from all over the place, and look forward to chatting with you guys.
Awesome. And Rice?
Cointelegraph.com. You can follow us, obviously, at Cointelegraph on Twitter. I'm at Jon Rice Crypto on Twitter. And, much as I do love the banter about blockchain on Twitter, I do talk a lot more about cats and stupid shit that I say to other people that makes them hate me.
Cheers to that.
Good one.
I'm basically an ass, really, is what it comes down to, and I enjoy doing it.
I love it.
There you go.
Guys, thank you so much. And before I let you go, for everyone that's new to Blockchain and Boost, for everyone that's watching the Cointelegraph stream right now, go check out our YouTube channel where it's actually streaming from. Come join Remo.com, the platform where we're hosting this, so you can come and take part in my most, favorable part of Blockchain and Booze, which is the networking session. So if you're new to Blockchain and Booze, I'm going to end this presentation mode, and we're all going to distribute to these really colorful tables where we'll be able to bounce from seat to seat and meet people from all over the world. Rice and Farjo, I encourage you guys to stay, although I know you guys have busy lives. So if you can, great. If not, that's okay too. But for all of you watching live, stay online. And for you to partake in the networking session, make sure to have your cameras on. Make sure to have your microphones on. The way to do that is with the navigation bar on the menu. So if you're not in Remo, come join Remo. If you're in Remo, get ready. Rice and Farjo, you guys have been great. Thank you so much. Guys, we'll see you next week. And that's all for now. Cheers again.
Thanks for having us, Adam.
Yeah.
See you guys.